This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Wednesday, August 20th, 2025. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
Hurricane Erin on its way to the eastern U.S. coast, stirring up treacherous waves and heavy winds. I'm Julie Walker.
The Epstein files will be made public, says the House Oversight Committee, eventually. I'm Rich Johnson.
President Trump asked about the potential of United States troops on the ground in Ukraine. I'm Clayton Neville.
The Justice Department is investigating whether D.C. police officials falsified crime data. Hi up in Juaney, Washington.
On Wall Street, stocks are coming off a mixed day and investors are worried about tariffs again. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
The Trump administration is revoking security clearances of 37 current and former government officials. Ed Donahue, Washington.
All ahead on America in the Morning. New York City beaches are closed for at least the next 2 days. Many New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, and Virginia beaches are banning swimming until further notice due to the dangerous rip currents and waves that may reach as high as 10 to 20 feet that'll be crashing ashore from Hurricane Erin. Correspondent Julie Walker reports that while the hurricane will not come ashore, evacuations are the order for North Carolina's Outer Banks, with warnings for swimmers in place along the entire East Coast from Maine to Florida.
Hurricane Erin on its way to the eastern U.S. coast, stirring up treacherous waves and heavy winds, forcing dozens of beach rescues and even closures ahead of a Thursday arrival forecast, says the National Hurricane Center's Richard Pash.
Even though the center of the hurricane will probably remain offshore, will bring hazardous conditions to the coastline, especially in the North Carolina Outer Banks.
Pash says with Erin, water is the big issue.
We could see 20-foot waves probably in that neighborhood and on the coastline, and winds, tropical storm force, 40 to 50 miles per hour possibly.
Some are evacuating the Outer Banks of North Carolina.
There is no boarding going up of any windows. That is not an issue. This is a water-based storm issue. It's all about the tides, and it's all about what happens to the road. That's basically the bottom line in a nutshell what this storm is about.
Tommy Hutcherson, who owns the grocery store on Ocracoke, staying put.
We've been through so many storms that it's not, it doesn't change a whole lot. Some people are trying to decide whether they're going to leave or stay still. But for the most part, most of the residents are still here, I believe. And most of the visitors are gone.
He says locals staying or stocking up.
Water, beer and wine, milk, all the essentials, people are definitely stocking up.
Hutcherson says there are two ways off Ocracoke, the road which can get washed over and the ferry to the mainland. I'm Julie Walker.
In North Carolina, lifeguards at Wrightsville Beach made 70 rip current rescues Monday. In New Hampshire, there have been more than 100 water rescues in the past 5 days. One person drowned. More than 100 have been rescued by lifeguards at beaches along the New Jersey shore in the past 3 days. And in Virginia Beach, Virginia, there were over 200 people pulled from the waters over the weekend due to dangerous rip currents. The U.S. Justice Department will start handing over to Congress documents dealing with Jeffrey Epstein starting on Friday, and the House Oversight Committee intends to make those papers public, but not immediately. Details from correspondent Rich Johnson.
The desire to see Epstein's so-called client list has been growing for months, even though his former lawyer says there isn't one.
There's no credible evidence, basically, about clients or about being passed around to people. That's just all made up.
That is Alan Dershowitz earlier this month on News Nation. We might finally get to know if the client list exists and who might be on it, now that the House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer says his panel will release the documents it gets from the Justice Department after some redactions. As for the biggest political question, whether any Epstein files mention President Trump, Comer told reporters Monday what former Attorney General William Barr told the panel behind closed doors.
He would be shocked if there was anything pertaining to President Trump that was negative that the Biden administration wouldn't have leaked out prior to the presidential election.
And in a written statement announcing the release, Comer said he appreciates the Trump administration's commitment to transparency. A Democrat on the Oversight Committee, Virginia's Suhas Subramaniam, says the path to the truth is simple.
And the only way we're going to get full transparency is if they release the files unredacted to the American people and not piecemeal selective files to members of Congress behind closed doors.
That, he says, includes answers to several pressing questions.
Why was he given a sweetheart deal all those years ago? What happened with his suicide? And what's his association with the President of the United States?
Subramaniam referring to Epstein's 2008 plea deal in Florida on 2 charges, procuring a child for prostitution and soliciting a prostitute, for which he served 13 months, most of it on work release. Subramaniam's comments courtesy of MSNBC. The Oversight Committee expects to get the first of several tranches of materials on Friday, and there's no timetable for when they will be made public. I'm Rich Johnson.
The top stories of the day are sponsored by Sleep Number. It's the biggest sale of the year. All beds on sale, limited time, only at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com. A proposal for U.S. troops on the ground in Ukraine. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. This is America in the Morning. Hurricanes in the east, monsoonal rains in the west. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
The western part of the country will once again be the focus for heat today as strong high pressure remains centered over the Four Corners region. This feature will promote sunshine and only rather limited coverage of afternoon monsoon thunderstorm activity through at least tomorrow, allowing temperatures to rise 8 to 15 degrees above the historical average across a large expanse, stretching along the Mexican border from California to New Mexico and points northward from central California to southeastern Oregon, much of Idaho, even extending to western parts of the Dakotas and south from there into the Texas and Oklahoma panhandles. The heat and dry conditions will lead to an elevated fire risk as well, with long-lasting heat making heat-related illnesses more and more likely among sensitive groups. The other story for today will be increasing impacts from Hurricane Erin, which is moving generally to the north while still to the south of both Bermuda and the Outer Banks. However, Erin's track will take it between those two areas, resulting in widespread impacts along the east coast, including a life-threatening rip current risk, very rough surf, and dangerously high waves. Beach erosion and coastal flooding can also be expected, in particular over the Outer Banks, where Erin will make the closest approach through the day on Thursday, bringing wind gusts of at least 40 to 60 miles per hour. Storm surge of up to 3 to 6 feet and rainfall of 1 to 2 inches are likely as waves of up to 20 feet build around the Outer Banks, but waves may still reach 10 feet from Virginia Beach to southern North Carolina. Otherwise, rain may be heavy enough to bring areas of flash flooding to parts of the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic today from a storm passing ahead of Erin. In Wilmington, North Carolina, today brings some sun, then a spotty afternoon thunderstorm, the high 86. For Denver, expect heat and sunshine with a high of 97 today. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Remember, you can follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. President Trump is addressing the idea of United States troops on the ground in Ukraine in that country's ongoing war with Russia. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
President Trump was asked what assurances he could offer that American troops will not be asked to fight on the ground in Ukraine.
Well, you have my assurance, and I'm president, and I'm just trying to stop people from being killed.
The question came while the president was appearing on Fox and Friends.
They're losing from 5,000 to 7,000 people a week.
The assurance comes after Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy met with President Trump in Washington this week. He also met with European leaders, but it's not clear what specifics were agreed to or planned on moving forward. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt expanded on Trump's comments about no U.S. troops in Ukraine, saying the United States will offer coordination with other European countries.
The president has definitively stated U.S. boots will not be on the ground in Ukraine, but we can certainly help in the coordination and perhaps provide other means of security guarantees to our European allies. The president understands security guarantees are crucially important to ensure a lasting peace.
I'm Clayton Neville.
The Justice Department is scrutinizing crime data from Washington, D.C., launching an investigation into what it believes is manipulated crime statistics. Correspondent Haya Panjwani reports.
The Justice Department is investigating whether D.C. police officials falsified crime data. The Trump administration is looking into whether law enforcement in the nation's capital made crime rates look lower than they are. The investigation comes during a showdown between the Trump administration and the city over control of the police department. President Donald Trump claimed that violent crime in Washington is getting worse as he ordered a federal takeover of the city's police department, where crime rates have fallen in recent years. Earlier this year, a Metropolitan Police Department commander suspected of manipulating crime data was placed on paid administrative leave. D.C.'s mayor said that the city's police chief had concerns about one commander, investigated all 7 districts, and verified that the concern was with one person. Haya Panjwani, Washington.
Ticket reseller being sued by the FTC. That and more when America in the Morning continues after these messages. America in the Morning continues. Here's Wednesday Business with CNBC's Jessica Ettinger.
Wall Street opens this morning after a record-setting day for stocks, with the Dow hitting a fresh intraday record high before pulling back. The markets are coming off a mixed day, with Nvidia shares down 3% yesterday. The Nasdaq fell 350 points, 1.5%. Investors are worried about new tariffs from the White House. President Trump expanding the 50% tariff on aluminum and steel coming into the U.S. to another more than 400 types of products, including car parts, plastics, and specialty chemicals. Economists immediately warned that the new levies could further strain the U.S. supply chain and raise prices even higher for American consumers. The FTC is suing ticket reseller Key Investment Group, which it says used multiple fake Ticketmaster accounts to buy up Taylor Swift and Bruce Springsteen tickets, among others, only to resell them at highly inflated prices.
When artists price their tickets, they price them way below what they could actually command in the marketplace, and they do that in order to allow their fans to have access to their concerts, to let everyone have a shot to come to their concerts. And so Congress passed a law that said, look, when artists do this, we don't want people defeating security measures to buy tons of tickets, to take them out of the consumer market, put them on the resale market, and then jack up the prices.
That's Federal Trade Commission Chairman Andrew Ferguson on CNBC. Baltimore-based Key Group is denying it did anything wrong. The U.S. needs more homes, but July housing starts numbers show the builders are starting to put up far more apartments.
It's multifamily. When you break out the single family versus multifamily in July housing starts, multifamily is the clear driver, up 11.6% month to month, up 27% year over year. The reason is demand. It is still strong, and we're seeing rents start to turn higher again also. Why? Because people aren't buying homes, so they either stay in their rentals or new household formation is rental formation.
CNBC's Diana Olick. Starbucks employees not going to be keeping up with inflation. The coffee chain says the company-wide pay raise this year will be only 2%. That's below the current rate of inflation of 2.7%.
All salaried employees in North America will get a 2% raise this year. Now, previous pay increases, those were left up to a manager to decide, and the move will help keep a lid on some costs in CEO Brian Nichols' turnaround efforts.
CNBC's Silvana Henao. On today's watch list, earnings are coming from retailers like Target, Lowe's, and TJ Maxx and Marshall's parent TJX companies. Tonight's Powerball jackpot, well more than $500 million, sitting at $643 million.
CNBC's Jessica Ettinger. Security clearances yanked for current and former U.S. officials. The story when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back here with America in the Morning. Venezuela is ramping up its military after the United States ordered naval destroyers into waters near the South American coast. Lisa Dwyer has the latest.
As President Donald Trump pushes for using the military to thwart cartels, 3 Aegis-guided missile destroyers are being deployed to the waters off Venezuela. The USS Gravely, USS Jason Dunham, and USS Sampson are expected to arrive over the course of, quote, several months. In February, Trump's administration designated Venezuela's Tren de Aragua as a foreign terrorist organization and has stepped up immigration enforcement against alleged gang members. Earlier this month, the Trump administration announced it was doubling to $50 million, a reward for the arrest of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, accusing him of being one of the world's largest narco-traffickers and working with cartels to flood the U.S. with fentanyl-laced cocaine. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
The Trump administration has yanked the security clearances of more than 36 current and former U.S. officials. Correspondent Ed Donahue reports.
The Trump administration is revoking security clearances of 37 current and former government officials. A memo posted by National Intelligence Director Tulsi Gabbard accuses the 37 of having engaged in the politicization or weaponization of intelligence to advance partisan goals. She also said they failed to safeguard classified information. Many of the officials who were singled out left the government years ago. Some were openly critical of President Trump. Some were involved in the intelligence community assessment Russia interfered in the 2016 presidential election on Trump's behalf. It's part of a campaign by the administration to scrutinize the judgments of intelligence officials the president personally disagrees with. Ed Donahue, Washington.
America in the Morning for Wednesday, August 20th, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour.
The Trump administration says a bilateral meeting between Vladimir Putin and Volodymyr Zelenskyy could be coming soon. I'm John Stolnis in Washington.
The Texas Democrats are back in their home states, but still creating quite the buzz nationally. I'm Clayton Neville.
A man living in California has been sentenced to 8 years in prison after admitting to shipping weapons to North Korea. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
International tourism is down across the U.S., and Las Vegas is feeling the hit.
People are not coming.
I'm Haya Panjwani.
Seafood warning, a shrimp recall, a Florida execution, and a Rhode Island Assistant Attorney General on the wrong side of the law. Back after these messages. Update now on Hurricane Erin as we welcome you back to America in the Morning. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton with the latest.
Hurricane Erin continues to track almost due north to the south and west of Bermuda and still to the south of the Outer Banks of North Carolina. As Erin lifts northward in the next day or two, AccuWeather hurricane experts say that the Outer Banks will experience some of the outer rain bands of Erin, leading to 1 to 2 inches of rain through Thursday and wind gusts of 40 to 60 miles per hour at times as Erin makes its closest pass tonight and tomorrow. Erin should then curve more toward the northeast while gradually losing wind intensity, but it is expected to stay strong enough to bring a period of strong wind gusts over 40 miles per hour to much of Cape Cod on Thursday. However, for most or all of the East Coast, impacts such as extremely rough surf and very dangerous rip currents can be expected into Friday, along with areas of coastal flooding and beach erosion. There is some risk to exposed beachfront properties in the Outer Banks, where storm surge may peak at 3 to 6 feet through tomorrow, as waves may approach 20 feet in some spots, leading to the potential for washed-out roads that may cause travel disruptions lasting for several days. Elsewhere, today brings a wet day to the northeast as a storm feeds off moisture in place over the area to produce what will be some localized intense downpours at times from Pennsylvania into upstate New York, as well as New Jersey and southern New England. A general 1 to 2 inches of rain can be expected through tonight, enough to lead to areas of slow travel from time to time, but the areas that end up under repeated downpours stand a higher risk for flash flooding, perhaps including parts of Long Island, southern New Jersey, and the southern tier of New York. The risk for thunderstorms will extend to the south and west of those areas through most of the southeast, even across much of Texas, with hot and dry conditions persisting through most of the western half of the nation. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Follow us wherever you get your podcast. Simply search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. Fresh off the White House visit with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy and top European leaders, the Trump administration says the next step in peace talks is likely to be bilateral face-to-face meetings between Zelenskyy and Vladimir Putin. John Stolness has the latest from Washington.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt telling reporters Putin has assured President Trump that he would have a direct meeting with his Ukrainian counterpart.
The president has spoken to both leaders about this, and both leaders have expressed a willingness to sit down with each other.
It's unclear when the meeting would happen, but Leavitt says a bilat is the fastest way to end the war.
And ultimately, the president has always said that there are areas of disagreement in this war that will have to be discussed and decided upon by these two countries. And so he wants these two countries to engage in direct diplomacy. He's said that from the very beginning, which is why he's agreeable to the idea of having President Zelenskyy and President Putin get together.
In an interview on Fox News Monday morning, the president was asked if, as part of security guarantees for Ukraine and Europe, if U.S. troops would ever be deployed in a peacekeeping capacity in Ukraine.
What kind of assurances do you feel like you have that going forward and, past this Trump administration, it won't be American boots on the ground defending that border?
Well, you have my assurance, and I'm president.
Leavitt says security for Ukraine is an important part of any peace plan.
The president has definitively stated U.S. boots will not be on the ground in Ukraine, but we can certainly help in the coordination and perhaps provide other means of security guarantees to our European allies. The president understands security guarantees are crucially important to ensure a lasting peace.
President Trump is coordinating the meeting between the two adversaries. He told Fox News it would be a, quote, rough situation if President Putin wasn't on good behavior during any meeting with Zelenskyy. Among the possible locations, Budapest, Hungary. Politico reports that country is willing to host the bilat, although other countries are also in play. The White House reportedly wants a date in place for the meeting by the end of the week. John Stolness, Washington.
Texas Democrats are back inside the state capitol after weeks of breaking quorum to delay a vote on proposed congressional maps, but their pushback against redistricting is seemingly far from over. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
When the Texas Democrats left the state for weeks, they created a national buzz around the proposed congressional maps that could give President Trump 5 additional seats in next year's midterms. California and other states now moving forward with potential maps of their own that favor Democrats. But as soon as the Texas Dems returned to the Lone Star State, the House Speaker there, Dustin Burrows, issued so-called permission slips for the lawmakers to sign before they leave the House floor, some with police escorts.
My responsibility now is to keep this quorum intact and to maintain an atmosphere of order and respect until the job is finished.
Meanwhile, though, outside the House chamber, a group of Texas Dems ripped up their permission slips in front of protesters before spending the night in the House. State Rep Nicole Collier was the first to sleep at her desk when she refused to sign off on the House Speaker's request.
I refused to sign the permission slip to be able to leave the Capitol. I disagree with that authoritarian tactic.
Former Vice President Kamala Harris called Collier on the phone.
And you really are inspiring so many people. And I just want you to know that you are among those who history will reveal to have been heroes of this moment. So you just stay strong and do what you are doing. You have the right instinct, you are talented, and you are principled.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. I can't.
Collier and House Minority Leader Jean Wu encouraging Texans to resist.
Everybody can find their own way to do this. Don't get yourself in trouble, maybe, but good trouble.
Good trouble.
Right?
That's what it is. We need to shake things up and make some good trouble to have good change. Yeah.
This as Republican lawmakers are celebrating the ability to pass the maps. No apparent hesitation as state leaders expect those maps to be passed and possibly signed into law by the end of this week. I'm Clayton Neville.
A California man of Chinese descent who overstayed his student visa and was illegally in the United States was sentenced to prison after admitting to shipping weapons and ammunition to North Korea. Correspondent Lisa Dwyer reports the man's plan was to aid the Hermit Kingdom into launching a surprise attack on U.S. ally South Korea.
A man living in California for years after overstaying his student visa has been sentenced to 8 years in prison after admitting to shipping weapons and ammunition to North Korea that he says were to be used for a surprise attack on South Korea. 42-year-old Shangwa Wen also admitted that he tried to buy uniforms to disguise North Korean soldiers for the attack. To carry out his operation, Wen purchased a federal firearms licensee, Super Armory, for $150,000 in 2023 and registered it under his business partner's name in Texas. Prosecutors say Wen shipped 2 containers of weapons and other items to North Korea via Hong Kong that same year. The FBI also seized 50,000 rounds of ammunition from his home that had been stored in a van parked in the driveway. North Korea recently delivered nuclear-capable missile launchers to frontline military units along the North's border with South Korea. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
When we return, Nebraska's new deportation center, Legionnaires' outbreak in New York, and Florida execution. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. If you have shrimp in your freezer, better check it. The Food and Drug Administration says it's actively investigating after a shipment of shrimp sold at Walmart tested positive for a radioactive material. The FDA says the detection of cesium-137 contamination was found in shipping containers and frozen shrimp products processed in Indonesia and moved through the ports of Los Angeles, Houston, Miami, and Savannah, Georgia. Walmart immediately recalled the shrimp products in question after learning of the problem. America in the Morning continues. Las Vegas is among a number of cities and states seeing a slump in foreign tourists this summer. Correspondent Haya Panjwani reports that while some may point toward high Sin City prices, others are blaming tariffs and the nationwide immigration crackdown, which may be keeping foreign gamblers away.
International tourism is down across the U.S., and Las Vegas is feeling the hit. The city is reporting 11% fewer visitors compared to last year, especially from abroad.
People are not coming to the United States.
Las Vegas Mayor Shelley Berkeley.
We have a rather large market with the Canadians. It's gone from, a faucet to a drip. Same thing in Mexico. We have a number of very high rollers that come in from Mexico that aren't so keen on coming in right now.
Some officials are blaming the Trump administration's tariffs and immigration policies for the decline.
Also, the economy is constricting and people are a little more wary of spending their disposable dollars.
Businesses like the Pinball Hall of Fame say they've known that tourism can be a volatile industry. Tim Arnold runs the place.
We've been in it a long time. We're used to it. And we just figure whatever happens next is going to happen next.
I'm Haya Panjwani.
The state of Nebraska announces plans for an immigration detention center to aid the Department of Homeland Security in holding people for deportation. The facility will be dubbed the Cornhusker Clink, a play on Nebraska's nickname of the Cornhusker State and an old slang term for a jail. The naming of the Nebraska facility comes as Florida set up the Alligator Alcatraz and Deportation Depot detention centers, and Indiana has its Speedway Slammer. Nebraska Governor Jim Pillen says they'll convert an existing minimum security prison work camp in the southwestern part of the state, and it'll become a Midwest hub for detainees from several states. Our program continues. From New York City, nearly a half dozen people are now dead from a Legionnaire's disease outbreak in Manhattan. Correspondent Julie Walker reports.
Health officials in New York City say they've uncovered another death in connection with a Legionnaire's disease outbreak, bringing the total number of those who died to 5. Officials say they've concluded the death of a person with the disease who died before mid-August is associated with the cluster. The outbreak in central Harlem has sickened dozens since it began in late July. 14 people were hospitalized as of Monday, according to the health department. The bacteria that causes Legionnaires had been discovered in 12 cooling towers on 10 buildings, including a city-run hospital. Officials say remediation efforts have since been completed on all the cooling towers. Julie Walker, New York.
A death row inmate in Florida was executed Tuesday night. Cale Bates was given a lethal 3-drug injection at the Florida State Prison near Stark. Bates was convicted in the 1982 kidnapping, robbery, attempted rape, and murder of a woman from the Florida Panhandle. As Bates was strapped into a gurney, he replied no when asked if he had any last words. Tuesday's execution was the state's 10th this year, a Florida record. Shifting gears, Google announces they're going to be using the nuclear option in providing power for the megawatt-hungry AI data centers in the Tennessee Valley. Chuck Palm has details in today's Tech Report.
Google has announced they're teaming up with Kairos Power in the Tennessee Valley Authority to fire up a next-generation nuclear reactor in 2030. First-of-a-kind deal for Google, trying to answer the insane energy requirements for AI by firing up a Hermes 2 reactor that could pump out 50 megawatts a day, enough to power 36,000 homes, or the data centers for Tennessee and Alabama for Google. Unlike old-school nuclear reactors, the Kairos generators use molten salt cooling, not water, for a safer, smaller setup that's a lot cheaper to build and a lot safer. This is in addition to the Google $500 million nuclear plant from last October, aiming for 500 megawatts by 2035. Tennessee Valley Authority Don Mall said this is in line with a 2024 nuclear resource permit and making Tennessee a nuclear tech hub. New nukes are much cleaner and greener and can crank out a lot more power that's considered carbon-free and mostly environmentally friendly. For more, follow me on X at Chuck Palm.
Checking in with midweek sports, here's Robert Workman.
Baseball Tuesday, the Cubs took 2 from the Brewers, 6-4 in the day game. Willie Castro and rookie Owen Casey, each with a homer and 3 RBI. 4-1 in the nightcap, handing Brandon Woodruff his first loss in 8 starts. Cubs manager Craig Counsell.
That's what you have to do, and then you have to just keep, when you get those opportunities for those big hits, just produce more of those opportunities. We'll get them. We'll give the fans what they want if we just keep creating those opportunities.
Chicago trails Milwaukee by 7 games in the NL Central. Dodgers rolled over the Rockies 11-4. Shohei Ohtani hit his 44th homer. Padres kept pace in the West with a 5-1 win over the Giants. In the East, JT Realmuto's tie-breaking 2-run shot in the 8th boosted the Phillies past the Mariners 6-4, while the Mets mashed the Nationals 8-1. American League Blue Jays plundered the Pirates 7-3. Max Scherzer went 6 innings for his 220th career win. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. sat out for Toronto with a hamstring injury. An MRI showed no damage. Yankees tied a team record with 9 home runs, including number 40 for Aaron Judge in a 13-3 romp over the Rays. Tigers blanked the Astros 1-0 in 10 innings. Detroit ace Tarek Skubal and Motown native Hunter Brown were hanging up goose eggs all night before an extra inning bases-loaded walk decided it. Orioles shaded the Red Sox 4-3 in 11 innings. Braves erased a 6-run deficit to snag the White Sox 11-10. Cardinals, Diamondbacks, Reds, A's, and Royals were winners. NFL preseason week 3 coming up, games Thursday through Saturday. The Colts have named Daniel Jones as their starting quarterback over Anthony Richardson. No decision at QB yet for the Saints. Tyler Shuck and Spencer Rattler still neck and neck. That's Wednesday Sports.
When we return on America in the Morning, Trump golf course goes PGA and Attorney General on the wrong side of the law. Back after these messages. Welcome back. You're with America in the Morning. A golf course owned by President Trump is returning to the PGA Tour rotation after a decade-long hiatus. Correspondent Gethin Coolball reports.
Trump Doral in Florida is back on the PGA Tour schedule for the first time in 10 years. The Miami Championship in early May will be a $20 million signature event. Players will have a 6-week stretch that starts with the Masters and ends with the PGA Championship, with 3 $20 million events in between. Players who aren't eligible for the biggest events might have only 2 tournaments for which they are eligible. The PGA Tour lost the Barracuda Championship in Lake Tahoe opposite the British Open. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
Actress and comedian Aubrey Plaza got candid with Amy Poehler on the subject of dealing with grief. Kevin Carr reports.
Actress and comedian Aubrey Plaza was a guest this week on Amy Poehler's Good Hang podcast.
speaking candidly about the tragic loss of her husband, Jeff Baena, earlier this year. Baena died by suicide at the age of 47. This is the first time Plaza has spoken so openly about the events outside of prepared statements. Poehler asked her Parks and Recreation co-star how she was doing, and here was her reply.
Overall, I'm here and I'm functioning, and I feel, like I feel really grateful to be moving through the world. I think like I'm okay, but it's like a daily struggle, obviously.
Plaza went on to describe her grief by comparing it to the sci-fi thriller The Gorge, available on Apple TV+. In the film, Miles Teller and Anya Taylor-Joy play guards posted on either side of a chasm filled with alien monsters.
I swear, when I watched it, I was like, that is like, feels like what my grief is like, where it's like, or what grief could be like, where it's like, at all times, there's like a giant, like, ocean of just awfulness.
Baena, a screenwriter and director, started dating Plaza in 2011, and they wed in 2021. He passed away on January 3rd. I'm Kevin Carr.
The Rhode Island Attorney General's office said it's conducting a review following the arrest of one of its prosecutors who could be seen on body camera footage telling an officer, "You're going to regret this." Special Assistant Attorney General Devin Flanagan was arrested in Newport for trespassing after police were called to a restaurant for a report of an unwanted party. In body camera footage newly released by the Newport Police Department, Flanagan stated multiple times she's an AG and demands the officer turn off his body cam.
I know that your protocol is...
So you're trespassing, so we got to leave now. Unless you want to be in there.
We're not trespassing. You haven't notified us that we're trespassing. Number one.
What did I just say to you? You're just leaving the thing.
I'm an AG. But you're going to regret this.
Yeah.
You're going to regret it.
The Rhode Island Attorney General has not announced any disciplinary action against Flanagan. America in the Morning for Wednesday, August 20th, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.